It was Saturday, August the 14th, 1886, when a mysterious weather-beaten boat was seen drifting on the Ohio River close to the old waterworks building in the Indiana town of Evansville. The vessel's bow had suffered severe damage and the roof had been torn away. When two curious Evansville fishermen saw the apparently abandoned vessel, they secured their lines and brought the boat ashore. On investigation, they saw, cooped up inside the 10 by 12 foot cabin, no less than 12 people, men, women and children. They then called for the town's trustee, a man named Spreggett, to investigate. As Spreggett approached the cabin, he said he felt a sense of dread. He peered inside and saw that the starving, emaciated, mostly naked, hollow-eyed occupants were huddled up together on the wet floor. In amongst them was a large fabric-covered mound. It was the dead body of a woman, partially decomposed. It appeared as though the other people on board were either unable or unwilling to let her go. The authorities were called and wagons were sent to remove the living occupants to a hospital for treatment. An inquest was held for the dead woman and malaria was given as the cause of death. Once their health had improved, two of the surviving men, John and George Bush, farmers from Meade County, Kentucky, gave a clear account of what had happened. Their land was about 12 miles from the Ohio River, they said. They had fallen upon hard times and in a desperate attempt to better their lives, they constructed a boat in the hope that they could head west and build for a better future. And so it was, on Sunday, July the 25th, 1886, that two families boarded the vessel with just a few belongings and very little food, and headed west. The passengers consisted of the two brothers, their wives and 9 children. They had reached the mouth of Salt River that evening, and by Tuesday, July 27th, they had reached West Point, where they entered the Ohio River. George Bush's wife, Nancy, was becoming increasingly unwell. She was eventually struck down with malaria, and unable to receive treatment, it developed into typhoid malaria. Over the course of about a week, all the passengers crammed on board the small boat were struck down with severe sickness. As the days drew on, their situation became increasingly desperate and was made worse still when a storm struck. All suffering greatly already, they were thrown from one side of the craft to the other in the storm. Their possessions were all swept away by the Ohio, and the roof was torn off. As dawn broke, the families had some relative respite, but this was soon overshadowed when Nancy Bush succumbed to her illness and, quote, died in intense suffering and agony. The next day they quietly drifted. Unable to bring himself to throw his wife overboard, George Bush kept her on board as the sun beat down on them. The heat that day was said to be intense as the boat idly drifted on. The approach of darkness brought little relief, as hunger had by now driven them all out of their minds. As daylight once again drew near on August the 14th, the two fishermen on the Evansville shore, 160 miles and 3 weeks from the ill-fated Soul's starting point, saw the apparently abandoned vessel. When the story was featured in the press, it was written that, given the experience that had ravaged their bodies and the fetid atmosphere caused by Nancy Bush's deteriorating corpse, there was hope for only 6 of the 12 passengers. The family's homemade boat was burnt, and Nancy Bush was immediately laid to rest at Locust Hill Cemetery in Evansville. She was 57 years old. Her husband George, who survived, spoke of the harrowing experience to the press. The Bush family story even made it across the Atlantic, featuring in London's Evening News on Wednesday, September the 1st, 1886.